It has been said, much prayer, much power. Little prayer, little power. No prayer, no power. While many of us agree with this statement, some of us must admit we don't always pray. Truth is, sometimes we don't even feel like praying, even though we know we should. If this sounds familiar, you'll probably really relate to today's message. It deals with a story about a widower who is being persecuted by an adversary. She continually goes to the judge, who at first basically ignores her. But because she comes back daily, he eventually avenges her of her adversary. If we're meeting for the first time, I'm Donnice Tabor, pastor of Divine Church in Metro Atlanta, where we believe it's all about His will, His way, His word. Let us now receive this short but thought-provoking message. Luke, the 18th chapter, verses 1 through 8. And he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not faint, saying, There was in a city a judge which feared not God, neither regarded man. And there was a widower in that city, and she came unto him, saying, Avenge me of mine adversary. And he would not for a while. But afterward he said within himself, Though I fear not God, nor regard man, yet because this widower troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me. And the Lord said, Hear what the unjust judge said. And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bears long with them? I tell you, he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth? And for a point of emphasis, I shall read in your hearing again, verse 5, which says, Yet because this widower troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me. I want to witness to you today from this thought: persistence will pay off. Persistence will pay off. Here in today's lifted text, we find Jesus, as often was the case, using a parable to teach his disciples. You see, a parable is simply an earthly story with a heavenly meaning. At the onset of this teaching moment, Jesus makes clear the reason, or in other words, the purpose for the parable. Its sole intent was to teach them, and I also believe us, that men ought always to pray and not faint. In other words, lose heart, give up, or give in. Let me raise a few questions to each of us. How often have each of us got so caught up in the moment, stressed out throughout the day, that we simply forgot to pray? How many times have we sat down in front of a meal beginning to eat, forgetting to pray? Can we even count the times that we were so upset, we were confused, mad, angry, or even depressed, so much so that we did not want to pray? It has been said, much prayer, much power. Little prayer, little power. No prayer, no power. So why is it, even though we know we should constantly pray, be prayerful daily, why don't we pray as often as we should? Well, I thought about it, and I came up with a few things I'll call reasons. The first reason I came up with is what I call life's daily get routine. You see, we got to get up and get out of bed, get dressed, get out the house, get in the traffic, get into the office. Students got to get to class, got to get on a bus. Life's daily get routine can sometimes get us down. The second thing I call it, life's daily unexpecteds. Running late, mechanical problems, irate customer, difficult client, termination, the student who fails an exam. Expecting life's daily unexpecteds can sometimes come as a surprise. The third and final thing I came up with, I call it life's daily personal problems. Spouse tripping, child's disobedience, you're just worn out, you're stressed out. There's more month than there is money. But be encouraged now, because life's daily personal problems don't have to be taken personally. So with all these issues, someone watching may be thinking, why in the world should we bother to pray? And I say the answer is simple: because persistence will pay off. There are 3 points of emphasis that I noticed as I studied this text, and I want to share those with you right now. The first thing I noticed seeping from the text was the request. Found in verse 3. It's where the widower asked the judge, "Avenge me of mine adversary." Someone watching may be saying, so what's so significant about this request? I would say to you that it's reasonable to believe that this widower had no position or authority that gave her the right to ask the judge to avenge her. She was asking the judge to get rid of her opponent in conflict, dispute. In other words, her enemy, she called the adversary. What's the takeaway? You won't know until you ask. Persistence will pay off. The second thing I noticed leaking from the text was the refusal. In verse 4, it's where it states, "And he would not for a while." Please understand the judge's refusal was making it clear that he was not willing to avenge her of her adversary. Nevertheless, her persistence teaches some and reminds others that we should never give up or give in when there's something we need at stake. The takeaway is delay is not denial. Persistence will pay off. The third and final thing I noticed pouring from this text was the reconsideration. It's in verse 5 where the judge says within himself, "Yet because this widower troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me." You see, the judge thought carefully, thinking to himself, man, this woman gonna get on my last nerve if I don't reconsider my previous decisions to ignore her. She's gonna wear me out. The main and final takeaway from today's text can be best stated by something written by William Edward Hickson, which says simply this: "'Tis a lesson you should heed, try, try, try again. If at first you don't succeed, try, try, try again." Persistence will pay off. In closing, remember the power of persistence should never be underestimated because today's message reminds us of this thing. Persistence will pay off.